Welcome back to Sam and Ham. This is Sam.
And this is Ham. And you know what we're doing today?
We're doing another video.
We are. We're teaching my girlfriend to play a bard.
The suavest of classes.
It's true. They are charismatic. They can use a sword, and they can sing while doing so. Can't really beat that.
Sounds like a great version of Princess Bride.
I suppose.
Nothing can beat Princess Bride.
Let's see where we get by the end of this. So, this is going to be part 1 where we go over the base class, and then in part 2 we're going to go over the subclasses.
Alright.
Alright, well, let's get started here. So, Bard. We're going to start at level 1. You get 2 things. You get spellcasting. You are a full spellcaster, after all. Eventually you will have 9 levels of spells. Pretty normal spellcasting. It's pretty supportive, actually. Kind of closer to a cleric spell list than a wizard's, but kind of a mix of the two.
Interesting. So, is this like the wizard and cleric, then, that you can trade out your spells?
No, it is. You have spells known, like a sorcerer.
So you can't just magically one day not know a spell.
No. But one of the things with Tasha's, which I'm going to get into that, a couple of these things that are optional are additional things they introduced in Tasha's.
Mm-hmm.
Tasha's optional rule is that bards can swap out one a night whenever they sleep.
Just one?
Just one, not like a cleric or druid.
Mm.
It was actually interesting in old editions, back when there was a big distinction between arcane and divine spell casting. Bards were the only ones that had arcane casting that could also cast a healing spell.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. You start off with 2 cantrips, 4 spells known, and 2 spell slots at level 1. And obviously it's going to go up following the table there. The other thing you get at level 1 is Bardic Inspiration, and this is what really makes a bard really good support. Basically, as a bonus action, you can inspire an ally. At level 1, it starts off as just a d6, and they can apply it to a few different things. Let's scroll down and take a look. They have to be within 60 feet of you. They have to use it within the next 10 minutes. And they can apply it to either an ability check, so like a skill, an attack roll, or a saving throw. They can wait till after they see the result of the d20, but before the DM tells you whether or not it's a success or a failure. So if you roll like a 10 to hit, you add your +4 or +5, and you go, ooh, I don't know if that's enough to hit. Then that's when you can roll the d6, and then your DM tells you whether or not you hit or miss.
Okay.
You can use that a number of times, equal to your charisma modifier before you run out of uses. You get them back on a long rest.
Nice.
Any questions on either of those things so far?
So what if your DM is, like, mean and decides to tell you whether or not you hit before you decide to use the Bardic Inspiration die? He sees that you rolled that 10 and knows you can't hit. So he quickly goes, that's a miss.
Well,
before you have a chance to say, I'm going to use that inspiration.
Well, if your DM's dumb enough to do that, then then you call him out right back and say, I was going to use that inspiration, but now that I know I need to use that inspiration, I appreciate it. Turn it right back on him.
That's a classic bard move.
It is.
Is that a vicious mockery to the DM?
Ooh, not quite, not quite. So, a couple of things I wanted to go back on. For the spell casting, they do get ritual casting, which is kind of handy. A couple of spells they can use out of combat without using a spell slot. And the big draw of being a spellcaster, they can use a spellcasting focus. A lot of people can use a spellcasting focus of a different kind. Most wizards are stuck with like staves or wands or whatever. Mm-hmm. These guys can use a magical instrument, and that's why they can cast magic through their lutes and drums or whatever other kind of instrument you'd like to play.
So theoretically, if it's a drumming bard, he goes pat 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 pat, and vicious mockery happens.
Yes.
Da 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 da. It's like a drum roll.
Ring. That was a drum noise, promise.
Nah, I think that was a phone.
Yes.
There's no phones in D&D. That's a sending stone.
The other things you get at level 1, you get a d8 hit die, so you're very standard, you're average. You're not up there with the fighter, but you're not down there with the sorcerer. You get light armor, so you're stuck doing pretty much just a dexterity build. You don't get any kind of heavy armor yet. Depends on your subclass. You might get some more of these later, but we'll get to that. You get simple weapons, as well as hand crossbows, long swords, rapiers, and short swords. And really, I don't think you can ask for too much more.
What if I want a shillelagh?
That's a club. That's a simple weapon.
Then we're covered.
Yep, see? The only thing they could really be missing here is like a longbow, but, use a crossbow.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
They have dexterity and charisma for their saving throws, and for skills, one of the best choices in the game. They just get to choose any 3.
Any 3 skills?
Yep. Any 3 skills.
What if I want to pick acrobatics 3 times?
Okay, smartass. 3 different skills. Scaling down, when you level up to level 2, you get Jack of all trades. This ability's pretty good. You get to add half your proficiency bonus, rounded down, to any ability check you make that doesn't already include your proficiency bonus. So, basically, you get +1 to every skill that you're not already proficient in.
Okay.
And this also applies to initiative rolls, because it is technically an ability check. Yeah.
Interesting.
It is. The problem being is it rounds your proficiency bonus down, so it's basically a +1 bonus until level 9.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's not till level 9 that goes up again, so by the time you get level 9, you'll probably have forgotten. But And also at level 2, you get Song of Rest. So you know how when you take a short rest, you can use some of your hit die, you can expend them to heal yourself, right? When you have a bard around, whenever you finish your short rest, you get to roll an extra d6 and heal that much more.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and it goes up when they hit 9th level, it's a d8, 13th level, a d10, and then at 17th level, a d12.
That's pretty cool.
It's not an extra d6 per hit die, it's just a flat d6, so not great, but hey, extra healing can't hurt, you know?
Right.
And then also at level 2, one of the optional things from Tasha's, Magical Inspiration. If a creature has your Bardic Inspiration, and they cast a spell that either restores hit points or deals damage, the creature can roll the die and choose any target afflicted by the spell, and then add that damage as either hit points gained or damage dealt.
Okay.
So it's just extra bonus, because by default, bards weren't really good at inspiring spellcasters. So this was just there to help them.
Okay.
Yeah. Can't hurt, it's just extra bonus, so.
Yeah.
Any questions on any of those 3?
No, I don't think so. I'm keeping up so far.
Okay. They're pretty simple until you start trying to account for bonus actions.
What happens with bonus actions?
Well, just even at level 2, I was playing Slinks, my Bard of Swords. He wasn't a Bard of Sword at level 2, but even at level 2, he was dual wielding. So and then he has one of his spells was Healing Word, and then he has Bardic Inspiration. So even at level, I guess theoretically even level 1, I had 3 different options to use my bonus action on every turn. So while they don't have, none of these are particularly complicated, they do have a lot of options, and in combat that can get a little overwhelming. Even I'm a pretty darn experienced player, and even I get halfway through combat and go, man, I messed up 2 turns ago.
Yeah.
It's a darn shame, but we're going to move on. Here are the bard colleges that we're going to go over next in part 2. It's Creation, Eloquence, Glamour, Lore, Swords, Valor, and Whispers.
Nice.
Yeah.
Why whispers?
They're sneaky and stabby. Oh. The only thing I am going to point out right now, because you get this at level 3, and then 6, and then 14. So you actually, for most of them, they get 2 abilities at level 3, which is kind of cool. And then they get 1 at level 6 and 1 at level 14. It is only 3 levels where you get something from your subclass. But they usually give you something good, and I wanted to point out that I had pointed out earlier about the proficiencies. There are a couple of them here that give you additional weapon or armor proficiencies. I know at least Swords and Valor do off the top of my head, so.
That's pretty cool.
We'll get back to that in next part 2. In part 2, like I said, but just wanted to point it out while we're here. Also at level 3, you get Expertise. You are a rogue player. You remember what Expertise does?
It means I get to double things.
Double what?
My skills.
Yeah, you're pretty skilled. You get to add double your proficiency bonus to any skill. That means you're basically going to be the best at skills in the party, unless there's also a rogue. And at level 10, you get to pick 2 more. So
Cool.
it works the exact same as it does for rogues. So
Cool.
level 4, ability score improvement, or a feat.
Interesting.
It's the same for every class.
Cool.
Another thing they introduced in Tasha's is Bardic Versatility. Whenever you reach a level that grants an ability score improvement, you can do one of the following, representing a change in focus. Replace one of your skills from the Expertise feature, or replace a cantrip you learned.
Cool.
Yeah, because they really don't go into how to replace those things in the default rules, so it was just kind of cool that they finally included a hard rule here for those stickler DMs. You know?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Also keep in mind, as we're going up in levels, I probably should be pointing this out, at every odd level, you get a new spell level. So at level 3, you get your 2nd level spells. And now that we're hitting level 5, you get 3rd level spells.
Okay.
So every odd level, new spells.
Okay.
So 5th level, you get Font of Inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
You regain all expended uses of Bardic Inspiration when you finish a short rest or a long rest.
Ah,
This makes the class feel so much better,
I bet.
because at level 5 you might have +4 to Charisma, maybe +5 if you rolled for stats and did well.
Mm-hmm.
That does not make for a lot for an entire adventuring day.
You're not wrong.
You can blow through those pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So getting them back faster is definitely good. I'm pretty sure the only reason they do it like this is just so people don't take a 1-level dip for Bard. Can you imagine every sorcerer just taking or paladins taking just a 1-level dip to inspire their buddies?
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
It'd be cool, but also really strong. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad that they did it this way, but it's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
So level 6, you get Counter Charm. As an action, you start a performance that lasts until the end of your next turn. During that time, you and any friendly creatures within 30 feet of you have advantage on saving throws against being frightened or charmed. Creature must be able to hear you to gain the benefits, and the performance ends early if you're incapacitated, or silenced, or voluntarily ended.
Okay.
So this is one of those abilities that feels pretty worthless 95% of the time. But I don't know, how do you feel about charms there, Freyas?
I definitely think that charming people should be banned.
Oh,
And polymorph.
it was a good time.
Wild shape.
Charms can feel really bad if you don't make the save. So having anything that can help you with that, in that 5% of the time, would be very useful.
Big oof.
Big oof. So level 10. You'll notice we're jumping levels quickly now. Level 10, you get Magical Secrets. Secrets. You learn 2 spells from any class.
Any class?
Yep.
Any class?
Yeah. It's a very, very strong ability.
Fireball?
Oh, Fireball. You can also...
Fireball.
Fireball.
Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do.
You can get Fireball, Animate Dead. You can get high-level Cleric abilities, Wizard spells. You name it, you can get it. You can get a couple of kind of powerful spells, actually, if you look at the Paladin or Ranger spell lists. Because Paladins and Rangers are half-casters, you can actually get their own spells faster than them.
Find Steed.
Yep.
Smite.
Oh, yeah. Not Divine Smite, that's a class feature, but you can get all their Smite spells. Like, Banishing Smite is a really good one. It's a 5th level spell. Paladins can't get that till,
Level 9.
No, I think that's level 17.
Ouch.
Yeah, you can get it now.
Now.
Yeah, big difference.
It's my spell and I need it now.
Yes! You get 2 more of these spells at 14th level and then at 18th level. So by the time you hit level 18, you get 6 of these spells from any list. So you can do some really cool stuff with that.
That does sound pretty cool.
And then finally at level 20, you get Superior Inspiration. If you roll for initiative and have no uses of your Bardic Inspiration left, you regain 1 use.
That's pretty cool.
Is it?
I may blow through those inspirations pretty quick for every encounter.
That's fair. This one's pretty lame as far as capstones go.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I think it sounds really cool. It'd be really cool at level 3.
Yes. This would be a fine ability in the single digits. Level 20. It's a bit lame.
It's a bit lame.
And hey, wow, look. We've looked at every bard ability.
That's pretty cool.
They don't get a ton of abilities because they're full spellcasters, and that's where you're going to get a lot of your abilities. So, you want to look into a couple of their spells?
Yeah, sure. We can look at a couple of their spells. It's not Fireball, is it?
It can be.
Ah.
So when you go to look at cantrips, there is of course, we got to talk about it, Vicious Mockery.
Hey, I wrote you a song. Goes a little something like this. Da-na-na. You're a bitch.
Yes. Vicious Mockery is a bard exclusive spell.
It's a what?
It's a bard exclusive spell. And they have to make a wisdom saving throw, or else they take a d4 of damage and have disadvantage on their next attack roll.
Big oof.
I'll be honest, the spell kind of sucks.
You know what it reminds me of, though? Cartman getting hit in the head with a wiffle ball bat.
Yes. Every time I see, like, one of those funny videos that says, like, when the bard kills the BBEG with vicious mockery, haha lol, I just want to look at him and say, how did the BBEG die to 4 damage?
I mean, I'm assuming he put 200 from the level 6 Smite of the Paladin first, and then the bard just happened to sneak up in there.
So, my theory, because I've been the DM where your boss goes down a little too fast, like, the players did a little bit more damage than you were expecting, so you just gotta buff the health on the fly. Just go, he's not dead yet.
You're one of those.
I am. Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. I imagine all those DMs are the ones that letting, it's funny, the bard lets the vicious, you let the vicious mockery at the last hit, that's all I'm saying. That's the only time I can see it happening.
What if can you crit on a vicious mockery?
No, you cannot crit on any spell that has a saving throw. You can only crit on spells with attack rolls. That's the other reason.
You should be able to crit on spells, I'm just saying.
I think there are some systems that do, but 5th edition is not one of them.
Fix it. Change the system.
Oh, man. I tried with my homebrew!
Your homebrew? Is this a shameless plug?
Yes, please click on any of the screens on link now!
Do it. Do it.
I said screens on link.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, anyway, the rest of their cantrips are pretty generic. It's pretty much the crappy ones from the wizard spell list. I say crappy. I mean, there's some good ones here. You don't get any other damaging spells other than Thunderclap.
Thunderclap.
But I mean, you get Minor Illusion, you get Mage Hand, you get Mending, Lights, Friends. I mean, there's fun things to pick here, other than you get no damage. Bards are kind of lacking in the damage department.
No damage.
That's what kind of makes some of those more martial bard subclasses a little bit more appealing, because at least now they have a sword. So we're going to look at a couple of first level spells. Just hitting some of the like bigger ones here. You got Charm Person, classic. Yeah. It's got a 30-foot range. They got to make a Wisdom saving throw to be charmed. Command is a 60-foot range. You can give them a one-word command. If they fail their save, they have to do it. It gives you a few listed ones that are kind of handy. You know, approach, flee, grovel, drop. And then you got some utility ones here. Comprehend languages, detect magic, disguise self. They have cure wounds. You can heal your friends.
Why would we want to do that?
I don't know. It's kind of nice keeping them alive. Silent image. They don't have. Again, you're gonna notice a theme here where they don't have anything for damage. I tried to play. I really wanted to make like a rocker bard with electric guitar or whatever.
There's no electricity in the fantasy realm.
Well, they have Thunderwave, and they have... That's it. But, I mean, you got a couple of buff spells, Heroism. Again, one of my favorite ones is Healing Word. Fairy Fire is a good one. Animal Friendship, if you want to be that kind of bard. The Pied Piper.
The Pied Piper pipes his pieds.
Yes.
How about, let's comprehend some languages.
You want to be able to comprehend languages?
I want to comprehend languages.
You want to be able to bleep the unbleepable?
Yes.
Let it be said, no language barrier has ever stopped the bard from doing his thing.
Exactly.
It's an action. It is a ritual. And remember, you have ritual casting. So as long as you know this spell, and you have a minute to cast it at a time, it can last for an hour afterward. It doesn't take concentration or anything.
Yeah, but I'm seeing one glaring issue with it.
What's that?
You can understand it, but what about the people speaking back to you? So, if you cast this spell, you understand the literal meaning of any spoken language that you hear, but what if you don't know that language outright? So let's just say I'm trying to speak Dwarven to a dwarf. I don't know Dwarven. I cast this spell. Spend 10 hours because I don't want to use a spell slot on it. And all of a sudden, I know how they're talking, and I can tell that they're talking, smack about my party here. But I can't tell them that I know. Never says anything about talking back, as written. Tell me I'm wrong.
Huh, neat. It doesn't. I guess I didn't realize that. No, yeah, you can't talk back. You can comprehend that language, but you can't speak it. I believe that's another spell that's a little higher level.
That's crazy.
It is goofy.
It's cool. Crazy.
It is. So, looking at second level spells,
Mm-hmm.
And we're not going to go through all these because, I mean, let's be honest.
That's a lot of spells.
That's a lot of spells. A couple of the ones that kind of stand out to me. Aid is useful if you just want to waste a spell slot.
Oof.
But it does give everybody bonus HP for 8 hours. You can't really go wrong there. Detect Thoughts can do some interesting shenanigans. You can literally read people's thoughts. Enhance Ability is a really good spell. Because I didn't think it was for quite some time, but...
That's because you don't like anything that doesn't do damage.
You're not wrong. But it does give you pretty much... If you have the time to cast an action spell, you can get advantage on pretty much any skill. So, handy. Heat Metal is a really good one. It's probably one of my favorites because it does damage. Mm-hmm. And you make an object glow red hot, and any creature in contact with the object takes 2d8 fire damage when you cast the spell.
Big ow.
And then you can use a bonus action on each other turn to make them take that damage again.
Owie. That's pretty cool, actually.
Then, when they take the damage, they have to make a Constitution save. So keep in mind, there's no save involved in this. The damage, at least. If they're touching the metal, they take the damage. So let's say it's a sword that you cast it on. If they're holding the sword, they take the damage. Mm-hmm. Then they have to make a Constitution save or drop the object if they can. Mm-hmm. If they don't drop the object, it has disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks until the start of your next turn. Mm-hmm. If you cast it on their armor, they can't just take that off. It takes 10 minutes to take off heavy armor.
Oof, so you can literally just roast a paladin?
Yep.
Oof.
It is concentration, so probably the paladin will hit you in the face to make you stop casting it, but...
yeah, I wouldn't doubt that.
Otherwise, a fantastic spell. They also have access to Hold Person, Invisibility, Mirror Image, See Invisibility, Shatter. Shatter's a cool one.
Shatter's cool.
Suggestion, Zone of Truth. Those are all pretty darn good abilities. Any of them stand out to you?
Zone of Truth. To be honest, I thought that was kind of a different class spell.
Like I said, there's a lot of spells that bards get because they're more cleric or paladin-y spells. They really kind of blur the spells, like the spell lists between clerics and wizards. Yeah, you cast a spell, it takes an action, and it makes a little 15-foot radius sphere, and anybody in there has to make a charisma save, and on a fail, they can't lie.
They can't lie?
Correct.
What if they're trying to lie?
They happens? Just can't. The way I've always roleplayed it is basically they open their mouth, but noise doesn't come out.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. So
kind of like the yes man?
Yes.
Or liar liar?
Yeah, I imagine. So for third level spells, I was disappointed because they don't get Fireball. Unfortunate.
No fireballs.
But a couple other good ones they do get are Dispel Magic. Fear is a giant cone. People get scared. Hypnotic Pattern is one of the best, like, save or suck spells in the game. You basically make a giant explosion of color. It's a 30-foot cube. Anybody in there has to make a wisdom saving throw. On a fail, they are charmed for up to a minute. And while they're charmed, they're just stand there incapacitated. So they literally just kind of blink, stare into the sky with their mouth agape.
So you on a Tuesday?
Me on most days, really. But if they do take damage from anything, they do wake up, so.
Interesting.
I mean, they get a couple other cool ones. Mass Healing Word was, I believe, one they just got with Tasha's. They get Liamon's Tiny Hut, Slow, and Tongues. Tongues is kind of the spell you were thinking about. So it takes an action, and then now you can speak any spoken language, and you can understand any language you hear, so.
Well, that's good. That makes me feel a whole lot better, because now I can have a conversation with my dwarf friend instead of him being a jerk.
Yes. So, and then you go look at the 4th level spell list, and then you just go, is that it? Look how tiny that is.
That is a pretty tiny list.
But you get a couple of cool ones here. You get Charm Monster. You get Confusion. Dimension Door. Greater Invisibility. Polymorph. Pretty big fan.
Yeah, I think Dimension Door is one of my favorites out of those.
Dimension Door is a pretty swell one. It's an action. You can teleport up to 500 feet. Yeah, I mean, it's Dimension Door. You can bring somebody your size or smaller with you that's carrying its gear. It's It's just very good mobility. You really can't beat it. Not at this level, at least.
Mm-hmm.
5th level spells. Now we're getting to the level where I rarely get my characters up there. A couple of the better ones here. Dominate Person is fantastic. Gias. Gias is interesting. More of a NPC spell than a player spell.
Mm-hmm. What makes you say that?
Well, it's got a minute casting time, a 60-foot range, and a duration of 30 days.
30 days?
Yeah.
What does it do?
Basically, you put a magical command on a creature you can see, forcing it to carry out some service or refrain from some action or course of activity. If the creature can understand you, it must make a wisdom saving throw or be charmed by you for the duration. So, keep in mind, part of the charmed condition says it can't attack you.
Oh.
While the creature is charmed by you, it takes 5d10 psychic damage each time it acts in a manner directly counter to your instructions.
So if you tell it to never sleep, and then it tries to go to sleep, that poor thing!
That's pretty evil. I hadn't even thought of that. What's wrong with you?
Well, I was trying to think of why it would try to do something against the command given, and a bodily function is something that they couldn't avoid.
Yeah, it's... Guess I hadn't thought of that one.
Because if you just say, don't follow us, it'll be fine, unless, stupid curse rule of, oh, it decided to walk west in the direction you went, so it can only go east from the rest of its life. Tell me I'm wrong.
So, it does say you can issue any command you choose short of an activity that would result in certain death. So, I'm not really sure with saying don't sleep. 'Cause, well, I think saying don't sleep would objectively kill it.
Interesting.
Because if you stay up for 6 days in a row, you get 6 levels of exhaustion, you die. So I don't believe you can do that.
Well, that's good. It makes me feel a little bit better.
My initial first thought for this one was if you say, have a player who keeps stealing stuff, you have the judge cast Gias on them and say, don't steal.
Interesting. That would be a way better use of that spell. And its components.
Yeah. It can also be removed with Remove Curse, which is a 3rd level spell, so realistically, depending on how high magic the campaign is, or, what level your players are, if they have a cleric in the party, it's easy enough to get rid of. But it's super cool. I love the flavor, so. A couple of the other ones they get here, Modify Memory, Raise Dead, they do get, which is pretty cool. I believe they're the only class that gets Raise Dead, but not Revivify. Yeah.
That's a sad.
It is. Other than that, they do get Teleportation Circle, is another really fun one.
Yeah.
6th level, the list gets even shorter, but that's just because lists always get shorter at higher levels. Mm-hmm. Gotta say, probably...
I like Find the Path, just because it sounds like Tend the Patch.
Find the Path, it's a 6th level spell, it takes a minute to cast. It lasts for up to a day if you can keep concentration. You do have to have a set of divinatory tools worth 100 gold. And an object from the location you wish to find. Mm-hmm. And the spell lets you find the shortest, most direct path to a specified location with which you are familiar. Yeah.
So if it just says, if you say Home Jeeves?
Yeah, it lets you find stuff. Actually, kind of cool. Pretty high level spell for such an effect, but pretty darn cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
7th level, you get actually some better spells. You get Force Cage, one of the strongest spells in the game.
Force Cage?
Yeah, it costs ruby dust, worth up 1,500 gold.
Oh, jeez.
But you make an immobile, invisible cage around somebody.
You just get to mime somebody into a box?
Yeah, and
Ow!
You can't break the box.
What happens if you break the box?
You can't.
What if you try to break the box?
Nothing happens. It's unbreakable.
Ooh.
If anybody tries to teleport even out of it, they have to make a charisma saving throw. If they fail, they can't.
Oh.
Yep. It is, like, as close to a you stay here as possible.
That's crazy.
Yep.
What if I don't want to stay here?
Don't piss off a high-level bard, I guess.
I guess.
Is
that how they seduce dragons?
I don't think so. But they also get Resurrection, Regenerate, and Teleport, which Teleport's pretty cool. Being able to be anywhere in the world at a moment's notice.
Yeah.
Kind of neat.
That is pretty neat.
8th level spell, Gotta say, I love Dominate Monster.
Mm,
Seems pretty fitting for a bard, if you know what I mean.
I do.
Glibness is a fun one. Glibness takes an action. It ranges self, and it lasts up to an hour. And while you have it, whenever you make a charisma check, you can replace the roll with a 15.
Oh.
And additionally, no matter what you say, magic that would determine if you were telling the truth indicates that you are being truthful. You can lie through a zone of truth.
Whoa.
Yep, kind of neat. Power word stun, also just really good at this level. If the target has 150 health points or fewer, it's stunned.
Why would we stun something?
Because the stunning's really strong. It doesn't even get a save. It lasts forever.
Forever?
Well, the stun target does get to make a con save at the end of each of its turns, but you don't have to keep concentration on it or anything. And theoretically, if you have a high enough spell save, and the target has a low enough constitution saving throw, yeah, it could last forever.
Oof. Poor guy.
Yep.
Imagine. Can you imagine?
I certainly can.
Just being stuck?
And then, 9th level spell, I mean, there's really not too many bad 9th level spells. True Polymorph is amazing. Power Word Kill is great. Mass Polymorph and Power Word Heal, both very good spells. So
Wait, polymorph and then mass polymorph?
yeah, Mass Polymorph.
Oh, sorry, true polymorph. I was confused.
Oh, yes. So, there's 2 different polymorphs at this level.
That's why I was confused. Continue.
Mass Polymorph transforms up to 10 creatures of your choice. An unwilling target does get to make a wisdom saving throw, right? Other than that, it works pretty much just like normal Polymorph, where you get to pick a beast and it turns into that source. You get temporary hit points and blah, blah, blah. It's basically just multi-target Polymorph. Okay. True Polymorph's a little different. True Polymorph, if you can concentrate on it for up to a full hour, the transformation becomes permanent.
Oh.
Yep.
So if you stare at a guy for an hour, you can make him a furry forever?
Yep. You can make him a rock if you want. Or you can turn a rock into a creature.
Let's not do that.
Yeah, True Polymorph, pretty busted.
Yeah, it sounds pretty busted.
So, but those are big spells. Again, the first few levels matter more than the higher level ones, unless you're doing a really high level campaign. But
yeah.
So, any questions so far?
What's next?
Up next, we're going to be going, in part 2, we're going to be going over the subclasses, and we'll see how that goes at the time.
Alright.
Alright.
So until further then, this is Sam.
And this is Ham.
Thank you so much for watching.
And we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.